This week on the road to the Barclays, we recap the John Deere Classic, chat with Peter Mealy on two big names making a splash overseas, go one-on-one with former boxer Jerry Cooney, and Ernie Els is the subject of our player profile. The Big Easy opens up next. Road to the Barclays, presented by Barclays, quietly conquering the world of finance. Hi everybody, and welcome to the Westchester Country Club. This is the road to the Barclays, and I'm Mike Crispino. This past weekend, a couple of big tournaments being played, one across the ocean at Loch Lomond, the Scottish Open, and right here, the John Deere Classic in Illinois. Both had exciting finishes. Phil Mickelson making some noise at the Scottish, we'll get to that. And then the John Deere, won by Jonathan Bird, who birdied 3 of the final 5 holes to beat Tim Clark by 1 shot. Here are the highlights. Entering the final round of the John Deere Classic, Jonathan Bird sat 3rd behind Tim Clark and Nathan Green.
I didn't tell myself I didn't have a chance. I can make some birdies, 14, you might even make an eagle. I have the length to get back to that back portion of the green on 17 and have an eagle chance. And you never know what's going to happen.
Bird came up with a clutch birdie on 10, followed it again with a birdie on 14, then 16, and on 17 tied for the lead with another birdie.
I had a long putt, and that putt could get away from you if you get it going past that hole with some pace. It might go all the way to the fringe, so it was a tough putt. And I just hit it a hair too soft and left myself a tough 7-8 footer there for birdie. And fortunately, just trusted my stroke and had a great putt there to make birdie. But I knew I had to walk up that green with birdie.
That gave him 23 in the 4 rounds, second best in the tournament. He averaged 27 putts per round. That was 4th best in the tournament.
Right when they hit it, the commentator said he thought it was a little bit left. And I had kind of hit that putt from more the middle of the green, and I knew it wasn't going to come back to the right. So I knew once it got to the crest of that hill that it probably was not going in the hole. So he had a good putt.
With his win, Bird raked in 4,500 points in the FedEx Cup standings. He moved 76 spots to 23rd on the FedEx Cup points list and qualified for Carnoustie and the British Open.
I fought it well. My caddy kept telling me, we don't have to be perfect to win. And I didn't. I didn't hit it good coming in. I made birdied 3 out of the last 5 holes. Everything was just a little off, but it was a little off but good enough.
Time for some Mealy moments with Peter Mealy, the executive director of the Barclays, the first ever PGA Tour playoff, of course, coming here to Westchester Country Club. Dick Schaap once said, though, Peter, golf's a bloodless sport, except for the ulcers. I'm thinking Phil Mickelson might have a few ulcers after that Scottish Open finish.
Yeah, it was a tough finish for Phil, but it's nice to see his wrist seems to be okay, and he muscled the shot out of the rough there at the end, and so I think he's getting ready for the playoffs.
Another bright spot in that weekend of golf in the Scottish was Ernie Els. He used that square driver, which is a new thing, and he did well. He finished 3rd, so maybe his game's coming around.
Nice to see Ernie coming back, too. I think, they're starting to get ready for this midsummer push with the Open and Open Championship and the PGA, and then, of course, the playoffs.
Now, there are 5 players, I looked this up now, 5 players finishing in the top 10 in both the Masters and the U.S. Open. Now, those guys would be guys you kind of look at as potential, playoff-tested people. David Toms comes to mind, great player.
Yeah, I think, the playoffs are going to be a little test of endurance, too. 4 weeks in a row, playing 6 out of 7 weeks, a lot of the guys, so it'll be interesting to see how, who kind of gets up there with the endurance test.
Yeah, Tiger Woods was one of the 5, by the way. And Jerry Kelly, University of Hartford guys playing great golf. He's one of the 5 guys that have finished top 10 in those 2 great tournaments.
Another local guy. It's, we don't have a lot of local players come from this area, but it's nice to have a few of them up there.
All right. We're going to check in, of course, with Ernie Els a little bit later on in the program, but first, the British Open happening. Let's hear what Darren Clark has to say about playing in that great tournament.
Hopefully it won't be the same as it was the last time. Hopefully they'll be a little bit more generous in the setup. They won't have the rough quite as long as it was the last time. But the course itself is, it's an unbelievable golf course. It's tough at the best of times, but as I say, hopefully wind blows a bit. They haven't got the rough up too much, but I think it'll be a very exciting tournament again.
Coming up on the road to the Barclays, we're learning the game with Mike Suma. And later, former boxer Jerry Cooney joins us on the golf course.
Hey, my name is Jerry Cooney. I used to give shots, now I give strokes. Join me on the road to the Barclays.
On the road to the Barclays, we're learning the game with Mike Suma here at the Stanwich Club, and we're in the bunker. Yeah, it happens. You miss the green, Mike, sometimes. Now, there's a little bit of a difference between the way the tour players are going to play at the Barclays or anywhere else and what the average player plays like. What do you talk to people about when they get in this situation?
You know, Mike, really, the amount of swing speed that the golfer has is a big factor on how we teach them to play the shot. So when a player gets in here, you know, they get a feeling for a couple of things. You'll see good players dig their feet into the sand a little bit. Well, they're doing a couple things. They're getting their stance. They're trying to get secure in their stance so their feet don't slip, but they're also feeling the sand with their feet. Because the texture of the sand, the amount of sand and how soft it is a big factor on how they're going to play the shot. And so we'll take a line here in the sand, and I'll actually draw a line kind of perpendicular to the target line of what we're looking at. And I'll say, go ahead and hit a shot, and we'll see where the club enters the sand. What we found, it's closer to 2 or 3 inches behind the ball, not 1. And I'll also tell them that most of the better players that I've interviewed, tour players and such, tell me that they look at the golf ball, not the spot behind the sand. They just feel the club go behind, beneath, and through the ball, and then when they measure it, it turns out to be about 2 or 3 inches.
All right, let's try to hold it. Let's take a look. He's going through his motions. Walk us through.
Right, so I'll just get behind it like any other shot and aim it. Get in here for a feel. I will stand with this open club face, open stance, and just try to feel this club going through the ball to get the right distance.
We're learning the game with Mike Suma, and we're picking up some tips. We got some improvement to make, but I think if we pay attention to the ball in the bunker, we got a better shot at it, right?
Look at the ball, not the sand.
Stay tuned. We hit the links with Jerry Cooney, the heavyweight, when we return.
Hey, I'm Jerry Cooney. Why don't you join me on the road to the Barclays?
I'm seated here with Darren Clark. Darren, how do you feel about the PGA Tour's new playoff system?
I'm excited, Chuck. I think it's a great idea. I'm also excited to get to do my investing with Barclays.
That's right. You're sponsored by Barclays.
Barclays. The PGA Tour playoffs begin with the Barclays.
Excuse me?
Barclays, Chuck.
I know.
I said it twice.
And we heard
Barclays.
you. Darren.
I said Barclays, Chuck. Want me to spell it?
Barclays, very, very proud sponsor of the first round of the first ever PGA Tour playoffs.
Back here on the road to the Barclays, time to catch up with heavyweight boxer Jerry Cooney. He once won 25 straight fights, and he got inside the ropes with the likes of Larry Holmes and George Foreman. He's still staying in touch with the game of boxing, but now golf has become part of his passion as well.
Boom, bang, down goes Mike. Down goes
whoa,
Mike.
Whoa, Jerry, this is golf now. You're not inside the ring or the ropes.
You got to hit. It's still a game of hitting.
It is a game of hitting. Now, you're a golfer. You're no longer a boxer. I know you still love that game, but how about this game?
It's a great game, and it brings you to your knees very quickly.
It's going a little left. Watch it.
That's not too good. That's the first hole mulligan, right?
Breakfast ball, even though it's lunchtime. Go ahead.
Left again.
Wow.
All right.
That was a powerful shot, but you might be in trouble early on.
A little bit of
here.
trouble.
Well, this is a game that you have taken up since you stopped boxing.
Right.
Have you been playing just since you retired? Or?
9 years. This is my 9th year playing.
9th year? Do you play once or twice a month or so? Or?
3 or 4 times a week.
3 or 4 times a week? And you find yourself getting better at it, I understand.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Great game. Yeah, this is so different than boxing, though. How did you find this game to be enjoyable after you did that?
Well, you know, in fighting, it's a little more exciting because you know, that's how I grew up. I was a fighter, and you look for the opening, and you find the opening, and if you can't, you make the opening. And this is a little more difficult. It's a split-second timing down the ball, and it takes a little while to warm up to get that swing out.
Now, in your previous life, you could take it out, frustrations, on the person you're fighting. But in this game, what do you do when you get frustrated?
You just realize at the end of the day, at least my children love me. At least my children love me.
All right, we'll see if you can apply some of those theories to this game of golf. Let's go down and find those. I'm going to have to find your ball. Let's go this way. Go! Ah!
I see it about a foot out.
A foot out to the right?
To the right, it's gonna come this way.
You see, we're in a serious match here, and you're giving me bad advice. I'm worried about you. Did I hit it enough?
Yep.
Did I? Oh! No, it's going right. Good, good? I didn't hear you. Good putt. Dead center.
Good putt.
Dead center to start.
I'm already down 1.
You're down 1, but it's still early. Hey, since you left the heavyweight division, what has gone on there? You can't seem to latch on to any fighter in personality or in style that you really love.
Well, you know, it's been so bad. I think that the fighters have been raped and robbed, as well as the fans. You know, you watch a fight, the guy who wins doesn't really win, and it's been a problem, and the fight fans are getting discouraged. The fighters are waiting too long before fights, and you got to fight. I mean, I knocked out Ken Norton in 1981. I'm gonna fight for 13 months. Then I fight for the heavyweight championship world. That can't happen. You got to fight 3 or 4 times a year. Being a professional athlete, I told a guy, pitcher one time, if you don't pitch for 13 months and they put you in the 6th game of the World Series, how are you going to play? And that's what the boxing game has come down to. So there's a few select guys that can fight all the time, but the rest of the guys have to sit and wait, and that's a problem. This is a nice shot here, but in a fight game, this is called being on the ropes.
Yeah, I see that.
It can be good, but a lot of times, problems.
Yeah, I would think so.
And now you're going to call inches, you're going to play where it lies.
Well, I got to move the rope. I can do that. I'm hitting right at that tree because I know I won't hit it. They're 90% air, aren't they? Well,
They lied. They lied.
they're 80% air.
I was 14 and a half, 15 and a half, and I went to the gym. I was at the heavy bag in the basement, and my brother was boxing. I said, let me go try that. I thought I was good. And this little Italian guy knocked me around the gym that day. I went home, I said, forget about it. I went back home to the gym, to my home, and I was hitting the heavy bag, realizing someone's going to throw back on me. And 4 months later, I went back to the gym and asked if I could box that kid again. Except he didn't do it to me again. And then 4 months later, I went to the Golden Gloves in New York State and won the state championship as a middleweight. 160 pounds, 6'4", and I could punch. I had 7 fights, 5 knockouts. And I know you're not seeing it here, but
You're an athlete.
I was an athlete, I guess, yeah.
Make a putt. Yes, he did. That's clutch. It's all in the hands. Well, listen, I want to show you a few things about golf because I promised I would. But you got to show me a few things about boxing. Will you do it?
Nope, just remember, 8, 9, 10.
All right, I'll remember that.
Okay, first of all, every time you make a move, I know when you're the weakest. So I'm going to make you pay for it. Right now I'm going to start down your belly. See your belly's wide open? And as I come down, your hands are going to drop. I'm going to hit you with a hook on the chin. So you're wide open. Elbows got to be tight. Relax, loosen up your body. Thumbs in your temples, elbows in here, cover yourself, and lean back a little bit.
Lean back?
Yeah, right there. Perfect, bro. Pop a jab. Let me show you. Pop a jab.
All right.
Again. Okay, now watch me. This is you. Watch
Wait
my
a minute now.
No, watch
Are
my
you going to
face.
throw a punch?
I'm not going to hit you. Come on. Watch my face. This is you.
You're
Watch,
sure?
Watch
Okay.
me. This is you.
I'm watching you.
See my head?
Yeah.
Now, would you rather be there, or would you rather be here?
Here.
The second one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because when you throw this one here,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for it, and
You're messing my hair up.
And I'm saying to myself the next time, please do that again so I can step here.
Oh, and then
Bang.
throw right?
Bang.
No!
Bang.
Jeez.
Boom. Whoa. And as I did that, you know, he was wide open right in the belly. His hands came up. So the next time I came in to do it, I'd bang his belly. So you want to stand up straight. My elbows are here and I'm leaning back. Instead of leaning here like everybody else, I'm leaning 8 inches further back, so you got to reach for me.
Yeah, but you got reach. See, how am I ever going to hit you if I'm leaning
Well,
back?
that's what the guys say. Your arms are so long. How will I get in? I tell them, don't worry, I'll stay right next to you. How's that, bro?
You are a scary dude.
Elbows tight.
You are.
Right, elbows tight. Touch your ribs. Touch your ribs with your elbows.
Oh, with the hand.
Throw jab. Now I want you to try and hit me.
I am trying to hit you.
Oh, that was real good.
That's
Try that again.
That's what do you call that? The overhand.
Can you try that one more
You're
time?
knocked out with an overhand right.
No, not if I'm leaning back here. I can't. Okay. Because from here I'm going to weave
Just
under
warning you.
here.
I'm just warning you.
Under here.
Just because you're big doesn't mean you can hit it farther than.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
That's the
we'll have
beauty
to
of this
see.
game.
We're going to have to
The
see.
beauty of this game.
gonna have
Very
to see.
funny on the road to the Barclays. Coming up, the Big Easy. Ernie Els on all things golf. Welcome back to the road to the Barclays with the world's golfing attention focusing on the British Open. Our player profile features Ernie Els. He's finished top 10 5 of the last 6 years and won it in 2002. The 18-year pro coming off a third-place finish at Barclays Scottish Open, playing some of his best golf. He's our player profile.
Well, I love coming up here. You know, I grew up in Johannesburg, big city atmosphere, and obviously New York. It doesn't get bigger than New York around the world, and people are nice out here. You know, they tell you exactly what they feel and what they think, and you know, kind of people wear their hearts on their sleeves out here. And the golf courses are great, old traditional golf courses, and I'm used to that back home in South Africa, so kind of feel comfortable here.
And comfortable is a part of Els' game. Nicknamed the Big Easy, Ernie takes pride in the long, easy swing that has been his trademark throughout his career.
You know, I was blessed with good tempo and it's kind of a slow, rhythmic swing. And obviously, I've worked on the technical part of my swing through the years. I think, like anything, you know, you got to try and improve on what you have. And worked hard on my. You know, on the backswing, the change of direction into the downswing, but the rhythm's always been there. And you know, some guys speak slowly, do things slow. That's kind of me, and I swing kind of slowly. So other guys are different.
The road to PGA success began 20-plus years ago for Ernie, against none other than one of the tour's big stars, Phil Mickelson, in the 1984 Juniors.
I came to the United States. That was my first trip to the United States in 1984 as a 14-year-old, and played in the junior world and played in Phil's backyard, so to speak. And we both played pretty well, and we met up in the final round. Thank goodness I had quite a nice lead over Phil. I remember, I think it was 3 or 4 shots, and kind of hung on there. And you know, after that win, it was a really big deal in South Africa, because in that time, you know, we were still banned out of a lot of international sport. So, you know, to win a junior world title in a small country like South Africa kind of got people's attention, kind of a thing. And ever since then, you know, I kind of concentrated on golf.
This year's British Open brings back some fond memories for Els, a champion at Muirfield back in 2002. But it was a tourney here at the Westchester Country Club back in '94 that gave Els the confidence he needed, leading into his first major victory.
You know, my first US Open was in '93 US Open at Baltusrol. I finished in the top 10 there, and gave me the opportunity to play in the '94 US Open. And I actually played the Buick Classic in Westchester, where I finished second to Lee Jansen the week before the US Open, and kind of gave me a lot of belief in my game. Westchester's greens, you know, as we all know, is very tricky, and I wasn't that afraid of the greens at Oakmont when I got there, and I had a bit of game. So, you know, I felt kind of comfortable and didn't have a lot of pressure on me. You know, nobody was really talking about me, so I just kind of played my game, and then reality set in. I think on the 18th hole, on the 72nd hole, when I needed par to win the US Open, but I couldn't. I think the second one really cemented me a little bit more. You know, you don't want to be a one-hit wonder, so that was nice. Then obviously the British Open in 2002 was also great, and winning tournaments around the world. So but that first one was the one where it kind of got you where you arrived, basically, and then from there the momentum kind of took me.
Kevin Sprecker's instructor here that gets to look at a lot of pro swings. You look at a golfer swing on the pro tour versus somebody who comes over to the local club and wants to have a look at it. How much different is it really?
Quite a bit. The tour professionals have been doing it for a very long time. They do it every day, so they train more for it. Your local guys, usually 1 or 2 days a week, you know, they have a regular job in the office, so it's a big difference.
An interesting piece of information right there from the teaching pro Kevin Sprecher. He's been working with Brad Faxon to get him to be more athletic in his golf swing. That'll wrap up this edition of the Road to the Barclays. Don't forget, August 22nd, that's the first Pro-Am, that Wednesday Pro-Am prior to the first ever PGA Tour playoff, which happens right here at the Westchester Country Club. For all of us on the show, I'm Mike Crispino. Thanks for joining us. Road to the Barclays, presented by Barclays, quietly conquering the world of finance.